Hello there, football fans. Welcome to the Mercurial Trequartistas Gamecast, your weekly dose of Premier League passion, predictions, and proper football talk. By way of introduction, I'm Datan, and joining me is the only person I trust to explain a box midfield without a whiteboard. Mark, how are we feeling today?
It's true. I never used a whiteboard to explain the box midfield because I used a cardboard box. It was the only way to get the point across. And I could do it now, but I haven't got a box to hand. But in future episodes, I'm all for it.
Something to look forward to. Now, what's cooking today? We are diving headfirst into some massive Premier League talking points. Mark and I have a few must-know fantasy football updates because bragging rights are never acquired easily. And we will finish with our soon-to-be famous obscure facts section that's quietly building a name for itself, a bit like the class of 92 back in 1991. So let's get into it. Though we have just completed an international break, several big stories have been brewing in the Premier League this week. Mark, can you kindly kick us off with the first story? Ange under pressure at Forest. Will Rafa or Graham Potter be stepping into the hot seat there?
I mean, it's difficult to imagine a situation where Ange loses his job so soon. But this owner, Marinakis, he does have a bit of a volatile streak. Surely, whoever he gets in now is just going to be in the same situation. I mean, the fans didn't want Nuno to go and just come in. Results haven't been great, but you get rid of him now. The set of fixtures they've got coming up, they've got Man United, Leeds, Bournemouth, Liverpool. If the new manager comes in and doesn't get any results in any of them, does he have to go? It's modern football at its worst. I feel. I think if you wanted to get Ange in, you've got to give more time than what he's been given. Rafa Benitez is a very good manager, but he does have a history of being combative with boardrooms, particularly at Liverpool, particularly at Newcastle. There's a little bit in Italy as well. I don't see that as a good move for him, given that he'll just end up in another adversarial work environment. Potter's been linked with Sweden. I think he does have a little bit of history managing in one of their lower leagues. Dyche has been linked. Gerrard's been linked. But surely Postecoglou's got to be given more time than this. Unless something really bad's gone on behind the scenes. Can you really get rid of your manager so soon? He was the right guy for the job only weeks ago. What changed?
Well, a very good question. What's changed? We aren't privy to what goes on behind the scenes, but it feels a bit like Marinakis. He's becoming the new Daniel Levy, difficult to work under. And put simply, this will detract from the ability of any manager and his team to thrive. I do feel for the fans at Forest. Nuno had clearly restored them to the high table of English football. He's gone now, and Angie's finding it tough at present. But as you say, Rafa versus Marinakis, it could be tasty if it happens. Yeah.
It's interesting as well. I mean, if you look at Benitez's sort of working history, there's actually very few jobs that he's been there 3 years plus. You've got Valencia, Liverpool, and Newcastle as the exceptions. He's won trophies at most of the clubs that he's been at, but I don't know. Surely you'd be too scared. I mean, the Newcastle situation on its own is is such a tough environment. Uh, why would he go back to something similar at Forest? I just find it hard to believe.
I think also Rafa is really good at galvanizing a fan base in favour of him. And Marinakis and his advisors, they are probably thinking that if it does go wrong with him, the fans they will definitely be in favour of Rafa. We've seen this time and again at Valencia, at Liverpool, at Newcastle, at Inter, and so on. So let's see. let's see what happens there.
What does it say to the fans as well? If they're going to turn around and get rid of Ange so soon, and you're bringing in Sean Dyche, are you saying to the players and the fans, we're gearing up for relegation scrap? What
Very good
what what are
point.
the expectations here
It's a very
for
good. It's a very good point. My gut says that Sean Dyche might end up at Rangers. I don't know why, but let's see what happens.
yeah, I think Muscat's been getting linked quite heavily as well there, hasn't he? So, and Gerrard did turn it down.
Yes, yeah, but
Yeah, managerial merry-go-round. Classic
absolutely.
international break.
Indeed. Let's move on to story number two. So on Sunday, we have one of the biggest games in English football. It's Liverpool versus Man United. Your thoughts on how it's going to go?
I think this is one of those fixtures where form is well and truly out the window. Liverpool had a bad week. Man United have been Man United. It's probably come at a better time for Liverpool. It's a nice one to sort of bounce back with. Uh, but yeah, you just want to see a good game, good combative, hard tackling, goals flying kind of entertainment. I think it's a better time for Liverpool to be playing Man United than it is for Man United to be playing Liverpool.
Spot on. I do feel that Amorim is under quite severe pressure. We've seen this with Ollie and with Ten Hag in recent years. You mentioned your thoughts on this point off camera to me recently, and in particular about the length of his tenure. Could you elaborate on that, please? I mean, how long he might be staying at Man United?
Well, I mean the chairman's come in and he's basically said he's got his full 3 years. Now, that's either him trying to get the players on board and thinking, look, if it comes down to it, they're siding with the manager, or it's your classic, kiss of death. The whole sort of like, oh yeah, it's the vote of confidence, and then you get sacked 2 games later. But I don't know. It's a really difficult club at the moment. They're in a really awkward situation. They're clearly desperate for Champions League money. They have let managers go for not qualifying for the Champions League. Is there something in his contract which is maybe protecting him? Maybe it's cheaper for them to get rid if it's mathematically impossible for qualifying for the Champions League. They did it with Ragnick, Moyes, Van Gaal towards the end of the season, and after it's clear they weren't going to qualify. Other managers have been given a little bit longer, but they've just not recovered. Ferguson left, and they've had about 10, 11 managers since. They've only had about 30, 31 in their entire history, and they've had 10 or 11 of them since Ferguson. That's a lot of changing.
I think a polite way to describe it might be a 12-year hangover post Fergie. But
Maybe. But yeah, I think the desperateness to sort of be successful again, I think has led to some quite impatient decisions. And they've been paying for it with each one. I mean, starting again with each manager. And for a lot of the time, it's been the same players with the last few managers.
mm, yeah,
The rebuilds have been erratic in places, replacing positions where they didn't really need replacing. They've not really looked, they didn't look at the goalkeeper situation when it was quite clear that was a problem position. But yeah, I don't know.
mm,
It's a very, very difficult situation for them.
yeah. Just a quick point on Liverpool as well. I noticed during the internationals, Alexis, he had a very good game for Argentina. This was a few days ago. If he is finally coming back to form, I think that will greatly benefit Liverpool. He's a key person in their midfield. And Gravenberch might be pushed back into defence. We don't know yet. So But the return of form of Alexis, if this happens, it will definitely be good for Liverpool. And like you, I think this game has perhaps come at a good time for them. Both teams are not really in form, but I think going into it, I think that Liverpool will feel a bit more comfortable.
We did suggest that the international break came at a good time for Liverpool last week, and I think the country's ties have pretty much confirmed that. Salah scored twice and then got rested because Egypt had qualified. Gakpo's has some good goals. Van Dijk scored. You got McAllister scoring twice. If they've gone away, got their heads together, and they're coming back confident after how it's gone in the internationals, then this is the perfect game for them to be bouncing back.
So, if we move on quickly to story number three, there have been rumours this week about Oliver Glasner discussing a new deal with Crystal Palace. Thoughts?
I think you're going to find a few clubs coming in for him around about January. And if they don't get the situation sorted out with Hammond at Man United, you wouldn't be surprised if they're one of them. Glasner's done ridiculously well. Really good end to last season. Really solid start to this season. I think the defeat to Everton last week, I mean, it's like the first defeat in what 17 games across the start of this one and the back end of the last one. That's good going. And in the meantime, they've won the FA Cup, Community Shield, been putting good accounts of themselves in Europe. Yeah, Glasner's done absolutely outstanding, and he carries himself well in the interviews. It's usually quite an informative sort of post-match rundown.
Put simply, I think Oliver Glasner is a winner. Palace at present, they have a steady ship, and the man earlier this year, he's won them their first top flight trophy since I think 1991. If Steve Parish and the Palace board have any sense, they will move heaven and earth to keep him at the club. But alluding to the first point you made, in football, there's always a bigger fish. And, you know, perhaps not in January, but if the likes of Man U next summer, or the likes of Bayern, or even Chelsea, if they come calling, is he going to want to stay at Palace? Let's see what happens.
Well, I think I mean, if the rumours are true, if he did threaten to walk, if Gay got sold, then yeah, the people in charge at Palace, they were very keen to keep hold of him. To allow that to fall through and miss out on, a bit of money, because both of the contracts are coming to an end. They could lose Gay for a lot less in January or close of the season.
Yeah. So say a Glasner moves to a very big club. Is it possible that Gahey might be joining him? It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. I mean, that's a bit of advanced planning. I don't know. I'm not. That would require somebody already sort of like having words with Glasner and Glasner having words on the sneak to Gay.
Well, as you've mentioned that, I think with Glasner, he's mentioned privately, well, this is what they're saying in the press, that he's not keen to stay on. It just makes one wonder, has he been lined up elsewhere, at a very, very big club? So let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, it wouldn't
Well,
surprise. Wouldn't surprise. He's done fantastically well.
yeah. Well, there you have it, everyone. Three takes and roughly an equivalent number of opinions as a small nation's GDP. We will, of course, keep tabs on these stories and how they unfold in the weeks ahead. But if we now move on to our second segment, everyone's favourite bit. Well, everyone except those who will be waiting for a VAR decision to save their team on Monday night when West Ham play Brentford. Mark, take it away. What's the latest in the fantasy football world?
Well, head-to-head league that we're in, we're both going to have new opponents, a chance to put right what happened the week before, or well, before the international break at least, and hopefully we can both bounce back with a win. Uh, I'm maintaining I'm not moving Salah for this game. Salah versus Man United. There's usually points on the table there, so yeah, Salah stays in my team. I might have to have a look at the other striker though. Watkins came off injured in the England match, so yeah, might have to check the little. red, yellow injury icon there to sort of see whether he's likely to be on the field. But I think that's probably where I'm going to have to make a little change if there's any doubt that he's not going to be playing.
Just some general thoughts from me. I think with Ødegaard being injured, Eze's due an extended run in the team. So we mentioned about Ødegaard last week. I think he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. I fully expect Arteta to like throw in Eze, and he's a fabulous player. I'm looking forward to see him do well in this Arsenal team. So he will probably score fairly highly. In terms of the undroppables, I think you can't look beyond Haaland and Jared Bowen. They're both in great form at the moment, and I think both have home games. So City play Everton, so I think Haaland will be fairly confident of scoring at least one goal there. And Bowen, as I've just mentioned, West Ham play Brentford, so he will be confident also of trying to, well, at being able to get on the score sheet. Just one final point. I've noticed that Newcastle don't really score much away from home. And I think we both have Walter Maida in our teams. Might be worth benching him because they are playing away from home this week. So,
Maybe, but Walter Maida did make his debut for Germany in
mm,
midweek, and he did score against Northern Ireland.
yes,
And it was I mean, it looked like your perfect big guy up front goal as well. I mean, the ball literally bounces off him and in.
he's a big unit, that's for sure. And that brings us to segment three of our show. And that is the obscure facts section. So we have three obscure facts for you this week. So let's dive in. First obscure fact is that a referee once scored a goal. So in a 1978 match between Villa and Ipswich, the referee, Andrew Worrell, accidentally deflected the ball into the Villa net. At the time, the laws meant the goal stood. I don't think it would happen today, but
I mean, it
I,
can't happen today. I think that's a throwback to when the rules were the referee was considered a piece of equipment like a post, so it could deflect in off the referee and it would count. Uh, Not sure how how the statisticians work with that one. Does he end up on the top scorer goal list? Does it count for the club? You know, is it one of those where it's like own OG or any other goal? I do remember one that I saw from South American football where the referee scores and he blatantly kicks it. He's taking a shot. He actually deliberately goes to score.
Mhm.
So I suspect that was probably the goal that got the rule changed more than more than the one over here. But yeah,
Yeah, if all of you have any thoughts about this, do share your thoughts in the comments. The second obscure fact this week is that England's first national stadium wasn't Wembley. Crystal Palace Park hosted the FA Cup final from 1895 to 1914 and could hold over 100,000 spectators. It was bigger than any English ground at the time.
I mean that really is one of those where you just don't hear of it anymore. You know, there's it's always England, Wembley, synonymous with each other. The fact that England were playing at a completely different ground, yeah, you'd think you'd hear more about that. But
I I think so. I mean, I can remember when Wembley was being rebuilt, and for a good few years, I think finals were held in Cardiff, if memory serves me correctly.
yeah, Millennium Stadium,
Yeah,
really
so
really good venue as well. Yeah,
yeah, so that was interesting. It just felt different. But then once Wembley was, well, the new Wembley was up and running, things went back to normal there. But it's also worth pointing out that the National Stadium back at this time, so it was 1895, it was the one that holds the FA Cup final. I think we tend to associate a national stadium with the one that holds internationals, but internationals didn't really occur then, and this was simply due to air travel not existing. Mm.
yeah. I think yeah. I mean, it's unlucky for Crystal Palace. You know, were they playing at the Crystal Palace Stadium or had they not been founded yet?
Oh, that's one to look into. So, but
Yeah.
I
Did
think
they lose? Did they lose the rights? Who fell out with who? Normally, it
Hmm.
was a landlord dispute with the with the playing fields back then, wasn't it?
Usually, yeah. So, but I think Crystal Palace are a very old club. I think not quite Chef Wed, but there's a precursor of Chef Wed. I mean, they hold the claim of being the oldest English club. But I think Crystal Palace they would have been formed shortly afterwards. But again, it's one to research further if you are so inclined. If we move on to the third obscure fact, so Manchester United nearly became Manchester Central. So after a financial collapse in 1902, there was a proposal to merge Newton Heath, which is the precursor to Man United, with the Manchester Central Railway Workers Club. Investors stepped in just in time, and John Henry Davis, I shall come back to that name in a moment, became the club president. And on the 24th of April 1902, the new owners renamed the club Manchester United Football Club after considering the alternative names Manchester Celtic and Manchester Central. They also changed the team's colours to red and white.
Wow. I mean, we need more. We need more football clubs named after railway stations. Manchester Piccadilly FC, Manchester Oxford Road, Deansgate, Castlefield.
Two quick points on that. So I think the former name of Manchester Celtic, it was considered because many of the individuals who had established Newton Heath, they were Irishmen who had relocated to Manchester to obtain employment in the railway industry. So they were keen to call it Manchester Celtic. And John Henry Davis, just a thought, but do you think John Henry Davis, he was the current Liverpool chairman, John Henry, but in a past life? Very similar name.
Well, I mean, I think this one's going to get thwarted by the Gamecast budget again. I mean, to research reincarnation, and that might be beyond our remit on this one.
Yeah, I can't see John Henry being too interested in sort of engaging in such an activity as well. He seems like a very, very down-to-earth individual. So,
But if there's any quotes from the other John Henry about what are they smoking over at, I don't know, what was it, Woolwich Arsenal back then?
well,
Then that's a coincidence that we're gonna have to explore.
if we find such a quote, and if it's there, we will find it. That would be something to ponder.
I do like the old names though. Middlesbrough Ironopolis. That was always a good one. But yeah, yeah, the old names, brilliant. Love it.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we have time for this week. Thank you, viewers. Until the next time, keep the faith and don't forget to subscribe if you like what you've seen and heard. We are back sometime next week with more TMTG goodness. Till the next time, and till all are one.